So since we went over the first class of X-Men, it is now time to go over the second class. This is Giant Size X-Men #1 from May of 1975. Don't I wish that this was an original copy? Thankfully, other than like annuals and New Mutants and a lot of the, what do you call it, miniseries, the Uncanny X-Men run that Claremont wrote, this is Len Wein, but when Claremont took over, I have that entire run from 94 to, what was it, like 280 or 2, something like that. But anyway, I just wish that I could get Giant Size X-Men, like an OG copy to just kind of butt up against 94, because Len Wein set the groundwork for this book, because it was around issue 67 of X-Men back in the day where they started to lose cells, and so the book just kind of became, at issue 67, reprints of old stories. There was nothing new. So Len Wein was tasked with trying to revitalize the X-Men. So him and Dave Cockrum sat down and did Giant Size X-Men to kind of kick off this new multi-regional team. And you can see right here on the back, we're kind of seeing all the original members sort of shocked and gasped as everyone that we have come to love and know at the time appear on the scene. So diddly Genesis. And this is Len Wein, writer and editor, Dave Cockrum, illustrator, co-creators, Glynis Oliver, colorist, and John Costanza, letterer. And right here off the bat, I love that they make sure to put the new team front and center. One thing that I love Dave Cockrum's work, don't get me wrong, but right here, good grief, do I hate how they drew Beast. Just really looks odd in this particular rendering. Now here it says, from the ashes of the past there grows the fires of the future, the grandeur, and the glory begin anew with second Genesis. Just a great way to draw you in as we open up in Winseldorf, Germany, nestled deep in the Bavarian Alps. The tiny village has already hardly changed over the centuries. In Winseldorf, life is gentle and peaceful. For nothing ever happens here to disturb domestic tranquility. This way, men, the monster went this way. And so here we are first introduced to Kurt Wagner as he's running from the mob, who sees him as a demon rather than a mutant. And I just love how Kurt, at this point, not trained and scared, perhaps things would be simpler, safer if I had stayed with der Jahrmarkt. But the life of a cardinal freak is not for me. It is not for Kurt Wagner. Let them come if they must. Let them try to kill me. At least if I die, I will be as a man. So he's climbing, and he just sees that they're not going to stop. And for what reason? I came among them only to learn, and yet all I've learned thus far are the ways of blind, unreasoning violence. Well, if that all is all that those who dwell in the normal world have to teach me, I will show them that I learned my lessons well. He gets overpowered, but before anything can happen, we get an ad. They stop. And this is where he first meets Professor Xavier. You mutant, yes, I've heard of the word. You are a mutant, Kurt. I can help you find your true potential. Can you help me to be normal? After tonight's misfortunes, Kurt, would you truly want to be? Perhaps not. I only want to be a whole Kurt Wagner. And then we jump over to Quebec. Quebec, Canada. That's what I'm going to start calling it, folks. We don't know about the Weapon X program or Department H at this point. It says few know about it. It's the home base of a very special governmental agency, and its very special agent. The agent cipher-coded Weapon X. They're waiting for you in the conference room, sir. Let them wait. It's good for the soul. But better known to us as the Wolverine. I'm right here, gents. I'm here. Now, who's this bigwig you want me to meet? I am the bigwig Wolverine, Professor Charles Xavier, at your service. Am I supposed to be impressed? Apparently the top brass is impressed, Wolverine. All I know is that the professor here is to make you some sort of offer. An offer. Okay, Professor, you've piqued my curiosity. What's the deal? I know of your recent battle with the Hulk. And I love that this is essentially I guess you could call it the second appearance of Wolverine, because I can't remember after in 182 if that's where Wolverine runs off with Department H or not. So this may be a second or third. Let me know down in the comments. But anyway, of course, his first appearance, created by Len Wein, was Hulk 181, which is another one that I want to get for my collection. But just like Amazing Spider-Man 302, these prices are just getting out of control. But Xavier says, "You, my friend, are a mutant, and I have needs of mutants. Desperate need." So Logan decides to go with them just to get out from under the old red tape. "Not so fast, fella. The government has invested a great deal of time and money turning you into what you are. You try walking out on us and I'll have you locked up." Uh-huh. "It seems you didn't get my meaning, friend. This is still a free country, isn't it? So I'm resigning my commission." And what I love here is the groundwork laid where Wolverine threatens the guy saying, "I quit." He says, "Believe me, mister, you haven't heard the last of us." And Logan says, "Anytime you want me, you know where to come looking." So right there, that lays the foundation of what would later be the first appearance of Alpha Flight in Uncanny X-Men. So awesome little takeaway there. I don't know if that was intentional, but just a good way how Claremont and Byrne would later introduce Alpha Flight in the pages of X-Men. And then, of course, this would be another introduction of Banshee as he goes from being a villain against the X-Men to being a part of the team. And then we cut to Kenya, Africa. And we see how people come to worship Storm. A lonely knoll, there stands a great stone portal. Men come to it in humility, their voices raised in praise and song and prayerful supplication. Aurora, great goddess of the storm, the voices cry, "Come unto us and ease our burden." And with the hollow peal of thunder and the moan of lonely winds, the storm goddess comes. And so they're begging Aurora that their crops can be watered. Her eyes are crystal blue and older than time. They sparkle as she is answered, "Save your beasts, my children. You need them more than I. I will do as you plead." Her liquid eyes grow dark, and in the sky grows dark as well. And in the midst of it, here comes Xavier. Xavier. "Who are you? What business have you in Aurora's land?" "I am called Xavier, and I have come to make you an offer I pray you will not refuse. You have a land, Aurora, and people who adore you. I offer you a world, and people who may fear you, hate you, but people who need you nonetheless. The world I offer is not beautiful, but it is real. Far more than the fantasy you're living now. You are no goddess, Aurora. You are a mutant, and you have responsibilities. Come with me, child, and taste the world outside. You may find its flavor bitter or surprisingly sweet. You present a most peculiar argument, yet I sense a deep sincerity in your words. All right, I will come with you." I just love how Xavier has the balls to come up to Storm like, "You're living in a fantasy world thinking you're a god. Come with me. I may show you something horrible or sweet, depending on your point of view." And it piques her curiosity. And then here we see Shiro Yoshida, and I think this is supposed to be Mariko. I'm not 100% sure if this is her first appearance or not. And even though he is crass against Xavier, I love that Xavier just throws it right back at him. He goes, "I know your feelings toward the Western world, Shiro, and I would not have come to you, but you require help that only I may give. So I owe you nothing, Professor, but perhaps I owe myself something. Perhaps it's time once more for the world to hear from Sunfire." And then we go to Siberia. We see Peter on the farm. And then an ad. And then the tractor barreling down at the first appearance of Ilyana Rasputin. And I just love how it says, "And without hesitation, Peter is running. Legs pumping, heart pounding, the very air around him crackling with the energy of his exertion. Energy released in a most astonishing maneuver. The armor machine bears relentless down upon the unwitting child as an armored Colossus snatches her from its path. There is no time for Peter Rasputin to move out of harm's way. Thus he stands his ground as the rapid tractor plunges towards him. And he wonders how his poor neighbors will afford to buy another." And then comes Xavier. He's essentially saying, I want you to come to America with me. You are a mutant. So you want me to go to America. But if I possess such power as you say, does it not belong to the state? Wow. Powers such as yours belong to the world, Peter, to be used for the good of all. And believe me, your powers are needed. So just again, how the original creators here wanted to make a more diverse team, but give them all organic feelings from each part of their lands, all different personalities, especially when we go to, where is this? Arizona. John Proudstar does not like the reservation. He does not like to watch the old ones sitting slumped against their doorsteps, dreaming dreams of glory long gone. John Proudstar is an Apache, and he is ashamed of his people. The Apache were meant to be hunters, warriors, not sad-eyed, whimpering squaws. They were meant to run free through the crisp plain grasses, the winds blowing wildly through their hair. And while they're doing this, I love how it shows that John is trying to basically encapsulate everything that an Apache warrior is supposed to be, as he bare-handedly takes down. I'm assuming this is either a bull or a buffalo, which the buffalo are extinct, right? I don't know, don't quote me on that. Feel free to make fun of me down in the comments, but to just show his raw power. Goes John Proudstar, I've come looking for you. How in the blazes did a cripple get way out here? You got 5 seconds to vamoose. I don't want company, especially yours. Don't be too hasty, my young friend. I've come to help you fulfill your dream, to give pride back to the people. You are special, John. You're a mutant and you are needed. And you can stuff a cactus custer. Now beat it. I offer you a chance to help the world and you turn your back on me, then perhaps what they say is true. You can read that next part, but damn, the way he just throws. You can see how ballsy Xavier came to show that, yes, you see that these people are full of hurt that comes out in hate. But Xavier's saying, do you want to perpetuate this? Or do you want to show that the world can be better by setting an example? And just doing that slight prod brings everyone together, which that first time is not great. You can kind of see that everyone's sort of grading on each other. Though I love how Colossus has always had that boyish charm. Like he's excited. He goes, all my life, such clothing as this I've never seen. And then Storm, the costume is beautiful and the fit perfect. Just a great way to show everyone together. And of course, Cheryl being the grading one. And then, of course, the leader, Cyclops. And then here, this is where we were first introduced to about Krakoa, how their mission was that they saw a powerful mutant. They took off immediately, and at this point, we'd see that Havoc had been added to the repertoire. And then compared to going over X-Men #1, when they graduated, essentially, Jean upgraded their uniform, and at this time, Beast was not part of the team. He had left to go be part of the Avengers, and what was it, Amazing Adventures issue 11 or whatever, but it's the same issue where he turns into the Beast. And so we get this back issue of how everything happens, and it's a great little way of how Scott is scared about everything that has just happened, and they need another set of teammates to save the X-Men. The professor modified one of my old visors to contain my increased power, then left me here to retrain myself while you went in search of you. And he found us, so now what? So now we go back to Krakoa to find the original X-Men, the mutant that defeated us. Incorrect, Cyclops. Now you go back to Krakoa, not I. I will have no part in this fool's errand. And again, I just love how Shiro just stands his ground. I'm not doing this. Well, the rest of us have to do a job, and we're going to go do it. And of course, I love how Shiro kind of eats crow, rejoins the team, and immediately him and Nightcrawler just do not hit it off. So the prodigal mutant returns. Why do you change your mind, Sunfire? Afraid to go home alone? My reasons are nobody's business but my own misfit. You will do well to remember it. So again, even though they are kind of a team, they are an untrained, uncoordinated team. So, of course, Thunderbird grating on everyone's nerves. They split up. And you can see that even though they are green, even Cyclops tells Thunderbird, for being green, you are quite a powerful individual. Same with Storm and Aurora. This is the first time that they work together, and you just see the raw power of Colossus as they all traverse this terrible, terrible landscape. If you can't tell, just because of the Krakoan era, I have a really bad thing against Krakoa, and you can kind of see as we get further into this why it's something that you not want to mess with. You eventually find, spoiler alerts again if you've never read this, so if you haven't, pause this, go to your comic shop, get a reprint, get the original if you got the money, come back, and you're back. You come to find out that Krakoa feeds on mutants. My dear God, it's the other X-Men, and something's feeding on them. So you come to find out that Krakoa is the living island. And I just love this 70s hand-drawn, hand-colored, hand-inked gruesomeness of Krakoa here, the island that walks like a man. And you find out that Krakoa essentially lets Scott run free so that he can bring more mutants for him to feed on. Now, I haven't read a lot of the Krakoan era X-Men because I don't care to, but there was something where they said that they once in a while sacrifice a mutant for Krakoa to feed on. Can anyone expound on that? Because I went, well, there we are, the pod people that are not the X-Men. These are the X-Men, the ones that push themselves beyond what they think their capability is. They come to find a way that they can defeat Krakoa, but Storm having to go high above, summoning as much electricity as she can, while Lorna reaches deep into the Earth's core to find the magnetic parts of the Earth. And what happens here in a minute, it's spectacular, but I love how she's hurting. She goes, "Don't stop, Lord, whatever you do, don't stop." And Alex says, "You've got to call it off, Scott. Lorna can't take that kind of punishment. She'll be killed." Alex, I can't. I can't sacrifice a world to save one woman. Even if she is the woman you love, I swear to you, brother, or no brother, she dies. So you can see the love that these two have for each other and why it's so damn tragic that happens to both of them. And while this happens, I love that you see that there was a love triangle between Alex and Bobby for the affection of Lorna. And I kind of appreciate that the creators of the animated series, when they did introduce Cyclops, he had a relationship with Lorna, I think, at that time. Or it was something like that. It's been a while since I've seen it. But right here, Bobby picks her up because Lorna's too weak to run for it. All A, the lady doesn't need your help, hot shot. She's in good hands for a change. Why, you little, argue later. Just now, move. Now, this is what I'm talking about. With Storm exerting herself, Lorna exerting herself, they essentially lift Krakoa out of the water and sent into space. Krakoa's death cries ring for long seconds in the mind of the awestruck X-Men. Ferociously, the great ice bubbles sucked into the wildly swirling maw, and those within the battered lost senseless against its cold, unfeeling walls. They voice their pain enthusiastically, and then they are gone. Because with Krakoa gone, there is a vacuum right there in the middle of the ocean. How they survive? Excellent little way to show how the X-Men work together. Now, we have gone over issue 94, so I'll make sure to leave the card here where you guys can see what happens after this issue, because that's where Len Wein, I think, originally was planning to write the X-Men, but I think he said in an interview, I believe it was in Chris Claremont's X-Men, which I think is still on Amazon Prime or Tubi, maybe. I don't know. Go check it out. But Len Wein said that he was busy, so they were tasking on who could they get to write it. And Chris Claremont was new and green at the time. He said, I jumped on. I said, me, I'll take it. And so, starting issue 94, that is the first Chris Claremont X-Men book ever written, all built off of what Len Wein and Dave Cockrum set up prior. Now, what I love, even in the original copy of Giant Size X-Men, they would do reprints. I think it's from issues 43, 47, and 57 that show how each X-Men's power works. Now, I know that there's been retcons saying that Cyclops' optics come from, I forget what this pocket universe is, but here it just says that he is, it's never before been revealed, but the ultimate source of the optic beams is the life-giving sun itself. Scott's piercing brown eyes act as miniature yet ultra-effective solar batteries storing up light, as do the plants about us. And in a process not unlike photosynthesis, they convert it to irresistible energy. And even while Psyche might doze off during a sunbathing session, a certain amount of light would penetrate his mutant eyelids. But if he accidentally opens all those powered pack peepers, gang away. And since virtually all natural light on Earth comes directly or indirectly from the sun, a small amount of power is produced even at night. And I miss when comics were smart in this sense, where they would at least try to explain their powers to a degree in some sort of scientific way, saying how even at night, how the sun reflects on the moon, that's how we're able to see the moon at night. So because of the reflection from the sun to the moon, Cyclops is still charged. I just miss stuff like that. I don't want to go too much into it. I want you guys to go read this because it was just an excellent way to show Cyclops' powers, as well as the power of Iceman, and yet how he's still young and has a lot to learn. And he goes, so you may as well ask, where does all that ice come from? So I'll tell you, it's all around us in the rivers and lakes, in the plants and trees, and the very air we breathe. It's called moisture. My kooky chemistry makes me able to concentrate and freeze that moisture. And I do it by all mental commands and the blink of a brain cell. So again, making it fun while you were learning. And that's why comic books still have like a certain charm and pizzazz, because for kids at this time, they didn't really know that they were learning. They were just reading and wanting to be entertained. But at that same time, the Marvel team was teaching them little tidbits of life, as well as the allegories of life, lessons, just excellent little ways. And even to show how, back in the day, they would always call women how about we just do it this way? It's easier to pronounce this way. Special aside, ye old bullpen thought it'd be glitzy if just for the change, this featurette on this mesmerizing Marvel girl were written by a member of the supposedly weaker sex. So make room for the lovable Linda Fight, ex-Marvel staffer and X-Men fan supreme. And so we get it from a point of view to show that men and women can work together and we all have our strengths and how we complement one another. Again, showing how we should be able to coexist with one another. All the allegories that is supposed to be the X-Men. Just great little pieces like that. And why this book still holds up the test of time. And while the X-Men in and of themselves and these older books like these are still beloved to this day. So I know, long review. Appreciate you guys sticking with me, but I really wanted to go over this and just show where everything from the animated series to a lot of the later story arcs came from this Genesis book here, or should we call it the New Diddly Genesis. So with that said, if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it is you'd like to get your comics and action figures, and get this book because this is pivotal for any X-Men fan. And if you've enjoyed this review, I really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little Merry Mutant bell next subscribe, that was my continual content. You guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with you on hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or the socials, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.